Arsenal has conceded less goals than any other side in the Premier League this season. Mikel Arteta has built a squad that's very physically dominating from open play and set pieces. The last time Real Madrid faced Arsenal was in 2005, when Thierry Henry ran through our entire defensive line to score the only goal of the tie. Arsenal went on to face Barcelona in the Champions League final, only to be robbed because Samuel Eto'o's goal was offsides. Since facing each other, Real Madrid has won 6 Champions League titles. Today, both sides are in complete opposite positions. Real Madrid has the most deadly attackers in Europe, but is struggling defensively, and Arsenal has the best defense in Europe, but are struggling to score goals. With the injury of Gabriel, Havertz, and Jesus, Mikel Arteta has had to reshape his team. Mikel Merino, the Sociedad midfielder who joined Arsenal, has been shifted into a false 9, and Kivior, the Polish center back, has had to step in and play on behalf of Gabriel, who suffered a long-term season-ending injury. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 ways Real Madrid can defeat Arsenal in our upcoming game against Arsenal on Tuesday in the Champions League quarterfinal. Make sure to stick around to the end because number 5 is the most important thing if Real Madrid is going to win this tie. The first key to victory for Real Madrid is finding a solution for Arsenal's pressing system. Arsenal likes to press high up the pitch, going 1v1 in their pressing. One of the things that Mikel Arteta has instituted at Arsenal since he's become the manager, especially at home, Arsenal tries to win the ball high up the pitch. They successfully did this against Manchester City this season by winning the ball high up the pitch and creating those goal-scoring opportunities. If you are looking for a team that's successfully pressing in the modern game today, Arsenal is definitely in the top 3 in Europe right now. And if you've looked at a lot of the games we've had this season, whether it's the game against Sociedad or the games against Barcelona, when teams have pressed us very high up the pitch aggressively, going 1v1 in their pressing, we have struggled. And that's why in this game, the first key to victory is finding a solution with balls over the top. And when I say balls over the top to our key forwards, I'm not talking about Vinicius and Kylian Mbappe creating overloads on that left-hand side, because it's actually Arsenal's left side, our right side, which is their weaker side. And that's why it's likely Rudiger is going to play as the left center back, and his balls over the top are going to be really important because Timber is Arsenal's fullback who's likely to play at right back. And he's very strong physically, he's very fast, very good in 1v1 defending. And his backup, who's a right center back, is William Saliba. Those two are very good 1v1 defenders and solid defenders for Arsenal, just in a general sense. If you want to go after Arsenal, which brings me to point number 2, which is you need to attack their left side, because that is by far their weaker side. It's likely that Arsenal is going to be playing with Kivior and Lewis Skelly. Skelly against Rodrigo is a matchup that really favors us. Unlike the matchup with Timber and Vinicius, of course Vinicius can take on any fullback in the world, but the thing is with Timber is he's really good in 1v1 defending and he's very strong and fast. He actually plays oftentimes as a center back as well. So having a guy like that against Vinicius when Vinny, let's be frank, is not in the best form this season, the matchup of Rodrigo against Lewis Skelly and Kivior is a much better matchup for us. And if Arsenal does what we all expect them to do, which is to press high up the pitch, to be very aggressive, especially early on in the game, those vertical passes over the top, especially to Rodrigo, or just fast transitions to our right-hand side are going to be very important. And that's why it wouldn't surprise me if we see Kylian Mbappe often shift out to our right-hand side, trying to create overloads with Rodrigo. The thing is, it's very unlikely that Arteta is going to switch Kivior with Saliba because Kivior is a left-footed center back. And Arteta really likes prioritizing left-footed center backs playing in that position. So Kivior will be a straight swap for Gabriel. So I hope in this game we'll see more passes like the one we saw by Fede to Rodrigo against Atleti, because it is going to take more vertical direct passes to unlock this Arsenal defense. Which takes me to point number 3, which is stop Arsenal's chance creation on their right hand side. The 2 biggest threats for Arsenal are Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. Those 2 players, when playing together, have had a lot of success generating opportunities for Arsenal. A lot of their form has dipped this season because Odegaard was out and Saka was fit. And then when Saka has been fit, Odegaard has been out. But when the 2 of them have played together, they've been very decisive in creating and scoring more goals for Arsenal. So their biggest threat really comes from their right-hand side. This would have been their ideal game to have Ferland Mendy back. And we saw how much Camavinga struggled against Kubo in our game against Real Sociedad. We will need to see much better 1v1 defending from Camavinga. Sometimes when people are able to get past Camavinga, his recovery pace and ability to win those duels is excellent. But Saka and Odegaard are very efficient at attacking the defensive line. Arsenal likes to sit in a 4-4-2 formation out of possession, and oftentimes Declan Rice and Thomas Partey like to form a double pivot. They're a very compact side without the ball, but really where they're strong is their counter pressing, because when they lose the ball, they're very aggressive in winning the ball back, because they have a lot of structure and organization and knowing where to be when the ball is lost. And that's why I think this is going to pose a big challenge to Real Madrid, is because of how good their counter-pressing is. Their ability to recover the ball after they lose it is one of the best in Europe. And like I said in the opening of this video, Arsenal has been really good this season aside from scoring goals. And that's why they've been calling for a number 9 to join their team. So again, this is why this is such a crucial thing for Real Madrid. Because in a lot of our key matches this season, we have not been able to be very successful in defending ourselves. Because this season, even in games where we've been good defensively, for maybe 70 minutes out of the game, it's always towards the end, the last 20, 15 minutes of the game, where we've sort of fallen asleep. And this Arsenal side is not a side that you can really fall asleep to. If Real Sociedad was able to score 4 goals against us, then you know you have to be much better in this next coming game. And that takes me to point number 4, which is being better from set pieces. I did a whole video on this already on my channel if you haven't seen it, where I go more in depth on Arsenal's set piece taking and how good they are in being able to be decisive from set pieces. But one of their key players from set pieces, Gabriel, is out. But nonetheless, they're still very dangerous from set pieces. And if Thibaut Courtois does not make it back, it looks like he'll be back for the Arsenal game, then you've got a lot of challenges, because we need Courtois to command his box. But more importantly, Arsenal relies on dynamic set piece taking, which ultimately means they wait until Declan Rice is about to take the corner, or Bukayo Saka, depending on which side it is, and they make those dynamic runs into those spaces to try to catch us off guard. Set pieces has been an issue for Real Madrid throughout this entire season so far. It's all about the margins. If we're going to win the Champions League this season, we're going to need to step up our game in a significant way. And being able to be competitive against Arsenal in set pieces could really make the difference. This is literally one of Arsenal's biggest threats. And that takes me to my 5th and final point in this video, which I said was the most important. And it truly is, which is to be the kings of Europe, to rise to the moment. Because the Emirates is going to be an extremely hostile atmosphere. Arsenal is not going to win the Premier League. They're out of the FA Cup. This is literally all they have left. And the entire Emirates is going to be up for this game. Every duel that's won, there's going to be a loud roar. This is going to be a very hostile atmosphere for Real Madrid. And this is a team that's very good at pressing the ball. This is the team that's very physical. This is a team that's very strong and fast. But when it comes to the Champions League, historically, even when Real Madrid has had their backs against the wall, they have found solutions and they've been able to rise to the occasion. So all tactics aside, all preparation aside, Real Madrid just needs to be able to show up on Tuesday and ride the wave. When the momentum is against you and the game's not going the way you planned it to go, or Arsenal's having a lot of success or a lot of possession of the ball, they're winning the ball high up the pitch, you're being suffocated and you're being put into your own half, then you need that experience and pedigree in the Champions League to rise to the occasion. Even if we lose that game or draw it, make it back to the Bernabeu, we should be okay. But one thing you cannot do is defend the way you've been defending either today at the Bernabeu against Valencia, conceding 2 goals, or 4 goals against Real Sociedad. If we defend anything like we have over the last few games, we're not escaping this first leg out of the Emirates with any kind of win. And even if we lose by a 1-goal margin, we're still in it and we have to go back to the Bernabeu, which we can feasibly win. So the 5th key to victory is being very competitive in that first game, being the kings of Europe, and riding that wave. Mikel Arteta is one of the best managers in Europe. He's very underrated in what he's been able to do, not only with his squad, in terms of making them competitive again with the most elite squads in Europe, but how he has transformed the culture at that club. Arsenal went from a team that was very timid to a very physical team that honestly should have won the Premier League last season, but of course they lost it to a team that had 115 financial fair play violations. And so our team needs to step up in a big way if we're going to win this game. So far, since Vinicius has been at Real Madrid, he has been Mr. Champions League. Even when he hasn't performed the best in La Liga, he still shows up for the big games in the Champions League, especially when it's all on the line. So I expect him to step up. Rodrigo will have a very favorable matchup. I expect Fede Valverde to play at right back. Tchouaméni is obviously suspended, so I expect Carlo Ancelotti to go with a double pivot of Luka Modric and Camavinga. But that means Fran Garcia will play at left back. And if Fran Garcia is at left back, this is going to be his biggest test at Real Madrid. We've seen glimpses of Fran Garcia playing pretty well at Real Madrid, but this is going to be his biggest test. Because if Fran Garcia is going up against Bukayo Saka, who I don't expect to play the full 90, but will likely play about 60 to 70 minutes of the match, that is a huge test for Fran Garcia. He definitely cannot be isolated in 1v1 situations against Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. And that's why I am predicting that we will lose this game by a 3-2 margin. Let me know if you guys agree. Overall, I do think we're going to get through this tie. We will beat Arsenal at the end of the day in the second leg of the Bernabeu because of how good our attackers are, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo. But I do think we lose at the Emirates. And ultimately, I do think we take advantage of their left-hand side with Rodrigo and Fede Valverde. Let me know if you guys agree with my analysis. I have a podcast dropping Monday morning, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that, breaking down the game between us and Arsenal. Thank you for watching. Hala Madrid.